Now, Sibanye-Stillwater's share price is a little bit under pressure today, and on the back of interim results that came through today. The resource player saying the outlook for the remainder of the year remains positive, with the weaker rand in particular providing significant earnings upside. In the studio with me to discuss is the CEO, Neal Froneman. Neal, thank you for your time. You refer to solid operational results in an environment where I think we all know for the mining sector, things are extremely difficult. So let's talk the operational issues first before we widen the discussion to the background behind the results.
Yes, Godfrey, as you know, we in particular have had a number of safety incidents which not only are they traumatic, they are very disruptive, and the perception that we put profits, the industry puts profits ahead of safety is wrong, because these mines are not profitable, and your most profitable areas are your safest. So the point is, safety's had a big impact. At the beginning of the year,
right,
we had a strong rand, which actually is good for the country, but bad for producers like ourselves.
Sure.
The rand has weakened. It's given us a little bit of breathing space. But considering all the economic impacts, considering the operational issues, the environment we're working in, I believe that it was a good set of results and a good recovery from just about all our business units except one.
Right. So, which then becomes difficult to square with your earlier assertion that you are profitable when you are operating in a safe manner, because you have adjusted earnings increasing 26%, basic earnings up to 77 million, headline earnings 101 million rand, comparing respectively with losses of 4.8 billion rand and 2 billion rand in the first half of the year. And yet this has also been a period, as you alluded to, that we have seen a lot of fatalities in mines associated with Sibanye. How do we square that one?
Yeah, so just to be clear, the 4.8 billion loss you're referring to is the first half of the previous year,
yes,
which had a lot of abnormal numbers in it. For instance, there was the silicosis settlement, there was a lot of impairments, there were a lot of transaction costs. But having said that, and we focus on EBITDA at the moment, because sure, that is the primary measure that the lenders use in our debt covenants. And EBITDA has actually increased, and specifically more so in our PGM sector.
Right.
Gold, it's actually gone down, but the primary reason for it having gone down in gold is the strong rand at the beginning of the year, but also one of our operations in particular, Driefontein, was impacted severely by seismicity at the beginning of the year, which unfortunately also...
That's where the fatalities came in.
That's where the fatalities came in. But the infrastructure at Driefontein is still damaged, and it's being repaired. So we haven't been able to get back to normal levels of production at Driefontein.
Absolutely. So just to round off on the issue of safety, how is the situation now? I suppose I accept you can't foretell the future, but what have you seen so far in the last few months? Because we have not been asking for that phone number again to phone Sibanye and find out what happened here again with another fatality.
Yeah, thank goodness you haven't had to do that. Our safety is focused into three areas, one being the environment in which we work, and that is making sure that our layouts and the equipment that we use, and that we spend money on technology, improving the productivity and reducing the risk profile of a mining business. So that's one focus area. There's a lot going in there. We've just recommitted another 30 million to safe technology through Wits University. On the people side, which is another pillar, as I said at the beginning of the year, to break through the safety plateau that the industry has, including Sibanye, of 80 fatalities a year, we need to change attitudes and behavior.
Right.
The behavior of South Africans is they have a high propensity for risk, and they do take chances. And I'm not just saying it's employees, our supervisors are the same.
Sure.
And we need to actually affect attitude and behavior, and that's through driving our values-based decision making. So we've We've intensified our interventions in that area.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got your systems, your safety systems.
Yeah.
And that's the third pillar. And in fact, we ours we consider our industry best practice, but of course, there's always room for improvement, and we're driving that.
Right.
Some of those are long-term initiatives. Some of them are short-term initiatives. The
Yeah.
additional short-term initiatives that we've taken, for instance, making sure that our bonuses and incentives don't drive the wrong behavior either. In other words, we want to make sure that we don't put production ahead of safety and so on.
Sure.
So there's been a lot of work.
Absolutely. Ian, sorry, I'm calling you Ian. Neal, did you read Animal Farm?
No, but I'm aware of Animal Farm.
Yeah, aware of Animal Farm. I'm reminded of Animal Farm because if I were to simplify your business, I would say, you know the saying, 2 legs good, 4 legs bad. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, platinum good, gold bad. Because when I look at these numbers, whoa, your gold production down 13%. Whereas when you look at the platinum performance, as you alluded to, a very good performance. Is gold terminal?
No, I don't believe gold is terminal. And all I can say is that our strategy to move into platinum, you've seen the benefits that the company's achieved. We would like to still grow our gold business, but we have some challenges in our gold business which will be addressed, and predominantly, again, at Driefontein. Beatrix and Kloof are working well. They achieved their results, but Driefontein let us down because of seismicity and the seismic event.
Right.
That's being rehabilitated. Our gold business should be back on track by the first quarter of next year.
You talked about technology coming in and playing a role. Is perhaps technology a factor here, perhaps that could change your fortunes around with the consequences, of course, for employment, as we all know?
Yeah, it's critical that we recognize that Sibanye employs 66,000 people.
Okay.
When we acquire Lonmin, we will have about 100,000 employees. That means we're responsible, if you use the multiplier effect, for roughly 2% of South Africa's people. That's a huge responsibility. And therefore, it should not be easy to close mines or reduce jobs. And we are very committed to finding technology that doesn't create risk for the company, even in tough times where we're not making a lot of money, and therefore reducing the exposure of people to higher risk conditions.
Yeah.
The investments into our own technology programs are ongoing, but it's very, very difficult in the gold sector to find machinery and equipment that can work in that environment. Where we have mechanized very successfully is in the platinum sector, and you can see it in the results.
Sure.
They are productive. They do have a knock-on effect positively, despite what the unions think.
Yeah.
It creates jobs in the manufacturing sector and so on.
Talking about unions, let's talk about the unions, because wage talks appear to be breaking down with the National Union of Mine Workers, the biggest union within the gold industry. With the others, from what I got from the Mineral Council of South Africa, they are still talking. Is there any awareness amongst the unions that the environment is not what it used to be? That within the gold sector, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think the industry has lost northwards of 40,000 workers in the last few years.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations are you guys having when you talk to the unions about the long-term sustainability of the gold industry?
Yeah. Look, we try very hard to explain the situation, to create an awareness, and Sibanye in particular has driven this concept of a social and economic compact. In other words, it's very important to save jobs, protect jobs, because once a man has a job or a woman, they have an income. It may not be exactly what they want, but they have an income, they have housing, they have medical care and so on. So protecting a job is important. When mines find themselves in tough times, then we should all rally together, reduce the cost increases and so on.
Yeah.
And when mines are in a better environment, there should be more sharing of the profits and so on. That's a concept we tried 3 years ago at the last wage negotiations, and it went some way, but it didn't resonate with organised labour. I must say that I still think it's early in the wage negotiation process, but we are the lowest cost producer in the deep level mining, gold mining sector in South Africa, and we made losses.
Sure.
So surely the unions will look through and see that and actually temper their demands. The companies have moved, the unions haven't moved in their demands. We would all like to pay more, we just can't. We're going to affect jobs, and I think that's very clear.
Let's talk a little bit about that social compact that you talk about. And I have always maintained that when people talk about black economic empowerment, I think the discussion moves on too quickly to talk about communities, to talk about other stakeholders, before actually talking about the first people who are at the table at the beginning, your capital providers and your labor providers. Why should it not be compulsory that workers become shareholders in a company the moment they join the company? Every single worker who's there, without their say, their nay or say, when they come in, they become shareholders. Because that way, in my view, you tie their fortunes to the business. And there's an upturn. The results are looking as they are looking at the moment. They are immediate beneficiaries beyond the wage that allows them to pay the day-to-day bills.
Yeah, Godfrey, and that's something that our minister is also driving, and he believes very strongly in. I certainly believe in broad-based empowerment so that we capture more with black economic empowerment. However, if you talk to shareholders who hold equity, you will find that it's a very risky exposure. Yes, things are looking up for us, and I think the second half will be better. But I'm not sure that all our employees understand the commodity cycles, that they get the best exposure through shares. We do have employee schemes for all our workers, particularly in our gold division, and that trust pays out dividends. Now, we haven't been able to pay dividends for 2 years. So you get an unhappiness that occurs through exposure to shares. Of course, we understand that they feel that like they own part of the company, but ultimately they want money in their pocket. And I think there's better ways. I think profit share schemes where there's a much more direct relationship to short-term issues rather than commodity cycles and so on is a much better way of achieving the same.
Sure. Do you like Gwede Mantashe?
I really do. I think, you know what, his heart's in the right place. He has a vision for growing the industry. For the first time, we have a minister in a long time that we can talk to, who understands mining. He can tell you about all the mistakes of the past, and he's been a miner himself. It's actually a wonderful opportunity to build this industry and not destroy it. So
2 quick things I want to talk to you about. Yesterday, he announced that he was thinking maybe he needs to scrap those amendments to the MARPDA, if I remember correctly, the acronyms for that bill. And at the same time, we've got the mining charter in the background. I wanted to understand from you, as an operator within the industry, whether that addresses the issues that we have always clubbed under uncertainty or political uncertainty within the mining industry, that's preventing the unlock of the billions that should be coming into the mining industry of one of the most minerally rich, endowed countries in the world.
Yes. So I think his comments around the MPRDA are actually very welcome, because I think there are elements of that would have been uncompetitive, and although the Minerals Council had an input into it, I do think that we have concerns. I think with respect to the Charter, my view is that the Charter is still not competitive, and there's a huge focus on transformation at the expense of being competitive, and until we get it competitive, we are not going to see any major change in investment. If anything, you're going to see a decrease in investment. So I plead, and certainly I'm a member of the Minerals Council. We are interacting with the minister. I know he's walking a tightrope in terms of balancing community issues, other stakeholders, but we have to get this charter to be competitive internationally so we can attract investment.